より、ウェビナー、ドミニカ共和国のビジネス環境、フリーゾーンのポテンシャ
Good
ル
morning
を
and good evening to everyone. We would like to start the webinar on the potential of free trade zones in Dominican Republic. Thank you very much for finding time busy despite your busy schedule so early in the morning and so late in the
本
evening.
日の司会を務めますジェトロ企画部海外地域戦
My
略
name is Takata, Senior Director for Global Strategy, Latin America and the Caribbean, Planning Department, JETRO. I will serve as the moderator for this session. Just a few announcements before we get started. Please refrain from video or audio recording regardless of your purpose. When you leave the webinar, a questionnaire will pop up automatically. Please fill out the questionnaire. Upon completion, a URL will be sent to you, which will be allowed to download the materials shared during the webinar. Simultaneous interpretation in English and Japanese is available. To use the interpretation service, please click on the icon for simultaneous interpretation at the top of the screen and select the language of your choice. If you are participating via a mobile device, please select the three dots at the bottom of the screen. Simultaneous interpretation icon will be shown. Please select the language of your preference. Simultaneous interpretation icon may not be shown if you are accessing from your browser. In that case, please download the Zoom app and access the URL one more time. If you have any questions to the speakers or their presentations, please use the Q&A box to post your questions to the speakers. Make sure to specify which speaker you want to ask the questions to. The questions will be accepted in Japanese and English. All questions will be answered by the speakers at the end of the seminar. Please limit questions to those that are relevant to this session, and we may not be able to answer all of your questions due to time constraints. Thank you very much for your understanding.
それでは、まずはじめに、
First,
在ドミニカ共和国特命全権大使
His
高木
Excellency
正
Mr. Masahiro Takagi, Ambassador Extraordinary Plenipotentiary, will give a remark.
Thank you very much for joining today's seminar. The Japanese companies that are advancing into the free zone of Dominican Republic and foreign companies, all of them are highly evaluating the business environment in the Dominican Republic, and I'm hoping to disseminate this notion around as much Japanese companies as possible. Today, we have Yazaki Inc. that have decided to make a large-scale investment in Dominican Republic. So, based on the latest information, we have both sides making very insightful presentations. So, I would like you to take this opportunity to incorporate this notion when establishing your business plan. And I would like to thank METI and JETRO and the Dominican Republic Foreign Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Free Zone Council and Free Zone Association, all the stakeholders who have helped to realize this seminar. Thank you very much for joining us today.
高木大使、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Ambassador Takagi. Next, Honorable Mr. Robert Takata, Ambassador of the Dominican Republic to Japan, will deliver a speech.
ご挨拶いただきます。高大使、よろしくお願いいたします。
ありがとうございます。Muy buenos días a los funcionarios, expositores y distinguidos representantes de empresas, de gremios y participantes en general en esta jornada del día de hoy.
日本企業の皆様、そして関係者の皆様、おはようございます。
Quiero iniciar agradeciendo que en el día de hoy hayan sacado tiempo en sus agendas para conocer sobre las zonas francas en la República Dominicana. Además, agradecer la colaboración de METI, de YETRO, de la Embajada de Japón en la República Dominicana en la organización de este importante seminario, el cual se realiza en un momento clave de nuestra relación bilateral.
本日はフリーゾーンをドミニカ共和国フリーゾーンをしていただく、本日のセミナーに、日本の企業の皆様、たくさんの皆様参加いただきましてありがとうございます。同時に国土交通省、そしてジェトロ、このような重要なセミナーを企画、実行していただいた皆様、関係者の皆様に感謝を申し上げます。また、この2国間のですね、今回のセミナーはこの2国間関係の今後につながるキーになるというふうに考えています。
Al arribar a este 2024, a 90 años de nuestras relaciones bilaterales, nos complace constatar que los vínculos comerciales entre nuestros países se encuentran también en pleno desarrollo y floración. Durante los últimos años, un crecimiento importante ha sido evidenciado en el comercio bilateral y además la inversión de empresas japonesas en nuestro país está cada vez más presente.
2024年今年は、ドミニカ共和国日本、外交樹立90周年の、年となっております。日本とドミニカ共和国、商業ビジネスに関してのつながりも、再確認し、今後、さらにです発展をさせ花開くよう、望んでおります。ドミニカ共和国のビジネス経済は毎年伸びておりまして、日本企業の、出展も、大変増えてきております。
Como podrán corroborar con nuestros expositores, las zonas francas han representado un pilar fundamental para el desarrollo de la República Dominicana, pero además un mecanismo sólido para la expansión de centenares de empresas multinacionales que han operado en nuestro país durante más de 30 años.
また、ドミニカ共和国フリーゾーンの輸出者、関係者、そして、拠点を置いている会社はですね、同時にドミニカ共和国の発展を裏付けております。また、大変重要な多国籍、そしてインターナショナルな企業はですね、過去30年間、ドミニカ共和国に拠点を置きですね、そういった企業が増え続けております。
La evolución del sistema logístico global y los retos que suponen los nuevos tiempos obligan a repensar las operaciones de las empresas a nivel global. Es por ello que resulta altamente oportuno conocer un país que no solamente ha reflejado una impecable estabilidad política y económica, sino también que muestra una fortaleza envidiable a nivel de conectividad logística, integración a acuerdos comerciales y el marco jurídico para la inversión extranjera.
ドミニカ共和国のロジスティックに関しましては、世界的オペレーションのレベルを引き上げております。そして再構築もされております。その進化は、今も続いております。また、国の治安、政治の安定、経済の安定等がですね、関連してですね、この、結果を今、さまざまな外国の企業をですね、こちらに今、拠点を置くというような結果になっていると思います。それに加えてですね、ロジスティックのコネクションの良さ、そしてさまざまな外国との協定を締結しております。そして投資システムもしっかりと構築されています。そういった要因がですね、この結果を生んでいるというふうに思っております。
En este contexto, al tiempo en que reitero nuestro agradecimiento y disposición de trabajar juntos en estos temas, les invito a aprovechar la jornada que tenemos hoy con los expertos expositores que nos acompañan. Muy buenos días y les deseo a todos una excelente jornada.
このように本日はたくさんの方にお手伝いいただき、このテーマに関して皆さんからお話を聞けるという素晴らしい機会をいただいたというふうに思います。この交流が良いものになること、そして皆さん、日本企業の皆様と一緒にお話を聞き、そして成功、そして皆様にとってより良い有益なセミナーになることをお祈りしております。
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Ambassador Takata. So we would like to move on to the lecture part.
まず最初にジェトロサンパウロ事
First,
務所の
Mr. Miyamoto from JETRO San Paulo office will make a presentation on political and economic situation in the Dominican Republic.
よろしくお願いいたします。
Mr. Miyamoto, please. Thank you very much. Good morning and good evening. We are very honored to have this kind of opportunity. Nice to meet you all. I am Miyamoto, working at the JETRO Sao Paulo office. Originally, JETRO is working on Dominican Republic from a Mexico office. But this time, at JETRO Sao Paulo, I myself, since I am in charge of the entire South American political system, that is why I'm in charge of this presentation. So I'd like to move on to my lecture. First, to give you the overview of the Dominican Republic. So the area is 48,442 square kilometers. It is about Kyushu and Kochi Prefecture combined, and it is located in the middle of Caribbean Sea. And sorry, the voice is very choppy. So the incumbent President Abenito had been re-elected, so he'll be serving the office until 2028. Next, looking at the GDP, so it is $133.5 billion. Per capita, it is more than $10,000. According to the Ministry of Finance statistics, the export amount to Japan is of 14.7 billion yen. Science and optical equipment, cacao, and electric materials, electric devices. And for import from Japan, it is a little more than 42.7 billion yen, importing automotives and general machineries and rubber products. And the number of Japanese companies are around 17 companies that are now operating in Dominican Republic. So so now there are about 17 Japanese companies operating in your country. And there are some historical aspects as well. So there are around 760 Japanese descent residing in the Dominican Republic. And these Japanese descent are helping the Japanese companies, and in terms of investment, they are providing a lot of support to the Japanese companies. And Dominican Republic is serving as a supply chain hub, and it has a geographic advantage. And by air, it is 4 hours flight from New York, from Miami 2 hours and a half, and 4 hours and a half flight from Mexico City. So it is really accessible. And not only Santo Domingo, the capital, but Santiago in the middle, from this place as well. Thank you. So next is the history of the Dominican Republic. So Christopher Columbus first discovered Hispaniola Island. Starting from here, once it became a French territory, and even becoming a French territory, it became independent as Haiti, and then became the Spanish territory. But then the Haiti army occupied the island, and then another independence. So this independence and occupation had taken turns in this country. So I believe the country has suffered quite a difficult time. And around the time of the Second World War, the United States had and made a military intervention. And due to that, military administration prolonged. But about 60 years ago, there was a clash between the government army and the rebels, and that resulted in the democratic government establishment. Next page, please. So next is the political system. Regarding the Congress, they adopt bicameral system. They have 32 seats in the upper house, 190 seats in the lower house. The tenure for the MP and the president, it is 4 years. So both upper house and lower house, the ruling party is gaining the majority, resulting in a very stable government operation. Next page, please. So just recently, on the 19th of May, the presidential election took place in the Dominican Republic. So at this presidential election, including the incumbent, there were 9 candidates. So the voting was counted on the very day, and incumbent President Abinadel won 57% of the vote, elected with a majority of the vote, beating the runner-up, former President Mr. Fernandez. So Mr. Abinadel will be serving until 2028. The issue for this election was economical stability, public policy, and security regarding Haiti situation, and tax reform, renewable energy, medical services, and education. So an extensive issues had been contested. For your information, this incumbent President Abinadel, born in 1967, currently 56 years old, from Santo Domingo, and so he belongs to PRM. He used to be an economist and a businessman, and had been engaged in real estate businesses. In 2005, elected as Vice President of PRT, Dominican Revolutionary Party. And in 2012, ran for the election as a vice president candidate, but was defeated. In 2014, established PRM, Modern Revolutionary Party, and ran for the 2016 election, but could not win here. Again, declared candidacy in the 2020 election. And this was during the COVID impact. So by setting the economic recovery from COVID as his campaign pledge, elected as the president. Since then, contributed in the economic recovery through the promotion of tourism and public works. So adopting pro-American policy. Being re-elected this year, President Abinadel had promised to promote economic stability and foreign investment and address tourism, infrastructure planning, Haiti immigrant issues, and security recovery by maintaining the current policies. Next page, please. So I would like to recap the policy of the current administration. So looking at the domestic policy, since the inauguration after August 2020, placed focus on tourism to restore the economy. So made a successful recovery from COVID and being awarded from UNWTO. So highly evaluated for its recovery from COVID and tourism. And in 2021, 12.3%, making a major recovery, not only tourism, but developing of underground railways. These infrastructure development is always also of a focus. Already in Santiago, this is the second largest city in Dominican Republic. the Monroe construction is already been implemented. And also public works and infrastructure development is the focus of this administration. I think it is explained, but the Santo Domingo Underground number 3 is to be further expanded. So these are the projects under promotion. I have visited the Dominican Republic twice, so the congestion in the metropolitan area is quite serious. In that sense, this kind of public transportation expansion, it could be really effective, and it would be environmentally friendly as well. And correcting inflation rate is another important point, and the population is congested in the metropolitan area, and the relevant poverty rate is quite high in the cities, 34%. And looking at the diplomatic policy, traditionally this country is pro-American, and in 2018 it has severed diplomatic ties with Taiwan. But around this time, other Central and South American countries have been establishing or re-establishing diplomatic ties with China. But compared to these other Central American countries, the assistance from China is not really much in the Dominicans. So they uphold democracy, and so they have established Alliance for Development in Democracy together with Costa Rica, Panama, and Ecuador. And in 2020 January, the U.S. advocated APEP, America's Partnership for Economic Prosperity. Dominican Republic is joining this as well. So they are a pro-American policy-taking country. Next, please. So looking at the economy, the most impressive thing is looking at the IMF country report. For the past 20 years, it has been evaluated as the most resilient country in the Western Hemisphere. After the economic crisis from 2003 to 2004, the growth rate is annual average of 5.4%. So looking at this left side chart from around 2015, so this is something called economic catch-up rate. In a very speedy manner, the economy is catching up. And looking at the right-hand side table, so looking at the nominal GDP, this is a ranking for nominal GDP. So Brazil, Mexico, they are a major economic powerhouse, but in Central America and Caribbean, Dominica's GDP is the largest, as you can see here. Next page, please. And this country is achieving stable economic growth, and after 2010, the inflation is also well controlled. So I think you can see that from the left-hand graph. Inflation is well controlled, but the annual inflation rate for 2023 is 3.57%. So the target set by Central Park, 4% plus minus 1%, this 3.57% is lower than that. So this is data from the economic growth outlook regarding Dominican Republic. A very high economic growth is expected in 2024. So it is likely to be number 1 in the Central and South Americans and the Caribbeans.
すいません。次のページお願いします。
Next page, please.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
続きまして、ドミニカ共和国の
So let's look at the trade of the Dominican Republic.
輸出に関してはですね、
Regarding export, in 2023, the total was 11.932 billion.
3200万ドル、米ドルですね、になります。で、主な
The major trading partner is United States, accounting for 60%. Next comes Haiti and Switzerland.
で、主要輸出品目はですね、
Major export items are medical equipment and instruments. These are increasing in this last decade, 12.7%. And these traditional minerals and metals, gold and silver, copper and nickel, that accounts for 9.8%. And the primary products, cigar and tobacco products.
次のページお願いします。
Next page, please.
続きまして、輸入ですけども、
So looking at the import side,
3120万
in 2023, it was 29.0312 billion US dollars. For imports as well, the major trading partner is US, accounting for 40%, followed by China and Brazil.
で、主要輸入品目はやはり
Major importing items are
国では鉱物資源が取れないということもあって
minerals
炭化水素
and oil
が取れませんので、こちら
that cannot be excavated in this country,
という形に
so they are relying on import.
昨今は観光
And in recent years,
乗用車とか
due to the booming tourism, the demand for
そして
automobiles is increasing.
がですね、上位3位にランクインするというようなですね、
So
上位
this passenger car is coming in
輸出になっているというような
second,
ことを
and Japan is the second
次のページお願いします。
importing sourcing country of passenger cars.
続きまして、
Next page,
投資の
please.
外貨
So next, looking at investments and foreign currency.
外国投資についてはですね、
For foreign investment, as I have explained before, tourism is a focus, followed by mining.
で、観光業についてはですね、
Tourism accounts for 26% of the FDI shown on the left pie chart.
ドミニカ共和国の外貨準備に関しましては、
And
非常に安定
regarding
してお
the
ります。
foreign currency reserve, it is very stable.
1000万人以上のですね、観光客が
So
ですね、
more than 10 million tourists is visiting this country, and there are remittance from 14 million overseas residents, resulting in a very stable foreign currency earnings. Next page, please.
続きましてですね、
going next.
ドミニカ共和国、非常に自由経済を大切にしている国なんだなと私もですね、
I see that Dominican Republic upholds free economy.
の対外通商協定というのを結んでいま
So
す。
they have
通商協定ですね、
concluded trade agreement with various countries.
まして、主にですね、DR カフタです。
So
から
mainly
のですね、
they are importing from DR CAFTA, that accounts for 65%.
はい。その、DR カフタ、このうちですね、
Looking at DR CAFTA,
の、60% がアメリカ
60% is coming from US.
アメリカとの貿易というのは非
So
常に
in
大
that
切
sense,
な
the trade with US
ポーションを占めております。
is very important as a
DR カフタにお
portion.
けるですね、主要輸入
And the main important items in DR CAFTA is automobile, followed by pork, and number 3, vegetables.
次のページお願いします。
Next page, please.
はい、日本との貿易関係に関しましては、
The trade relationship with Japan.
申し上げた通りで、これが
For
2023
this
年
part,
の数字になっておりますが、
this is the
か
figure
なり
from
の
2023.
金額の伸びが出ております。
So we are seeing a significant increase in the figures.
下の表を見ていただければと思います。
So please look at the
は
tables
い、次
below.
のページお願いします。
Next page, please.
で、これは後ほど細かくご説明あると思いますけれども、
I think this will be explained in detail later on. So the Dominican is placing a lot of focus on these free zones. So exports from the free zones accounts to 60% of the entire export amount. Regarding the entire export, although it is a little stagnant, the export from free zone is improving. Next page, please. This is also about free zones. Later on, the advantages about free zones will be explained in detail, so I'll not go into details, but there are tax incentive, loan is available, and I believe logistic infrastructure is very good in the free zones as well. Next page, please. So this is a summary. The strength of the Dominican economy is, as I've been repeating, it has the largest economic scale in the Central and American and Caribbean area, and enjoying the #1 economic growth rate in the Southern South American area. And it enjoys a stable economy and also has a lot of trade agreement with various countries and also has a lot of geographical advantage. These are the strengths of the Dominican Republic. That is all for myself. So, creating this material, I had a lot of support from the Dominican Embassy in Japan, so I would like to thank all the support received from the Dominican Embassy. Thank you.
Mr. Miyamoto, thank you very much. Next, Ms. Sylvia Kojon, Promotion Manager, Free Zones Council of the Dominican Republic, will give a presentation entitled Dominican Republic Free Zone Introduction. Over to you, Ms. Sylvia.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. On behalf of the Ministry of Industry and Commerce of the Dominican Republic and the Free Zones Council, thank you all for joining us today. One of the most powerful tools that the country has used to attract foreign direct investments has been our free zone regime, which allowed companies to allocate most of their production to international markets, to enjoy special tax and custom incentives, including 100% exemption from most local taxes, such as income tax, value-added goods and services, import taxes on machinery and raw materials, among others. Can you see the presentation?
Sí, pero está frisado en la portada.
Sí, es que no se me mueve eso mismo. Now it's moving, sorry. So the Dominican Republic is widely recognized as a world-class tourist destination, but we have become so much more than that. Today, it is also known as the main logistic hub in the Caribbean and one of the most important manufacturing platforms in the Latin American region, which we have achieved to a large extent thanks to the development of our free zones. The National Free Zones Council is a government institution responsible for the promotion and regulation of the sector. It is composed by members of the public and private sector and chaired by our Minister of Industry and Commerce, Mr. Victor Bisono. Among its main functions are to know, evaluate, and recommend to the executive power the installation of free zone parks and companies, as well as the corresponding renewals when the periods of authorization or operation of those already installed has ceased. We participate in negotiation agreements, national and international treaties that are related to the operations and activities of free zone companies, as well as keep the necessary statistics, procedures, and controls to comply with the negotiation and agreements concluded. Other functions include the membership in different organizations and presidential work committees related to foreign direct investment, export promotion, trade in services, and innovation. The Free Zones Law, Law A90, grants 100% exemption in the payment of most national and local taxes, including income taxes, taxes on the transfer of industrialized goods and services, ITEVIS, import taxes and custom duties on machinery and raw materials, export or re-export taxes, among other taxes. These exemptions are applicable during the entire period of operation of the company and can be renewed every 15 years. Other incentives that go beyond tax exemptions include a sectoral minimum wage, exclusive and simplified custom procedures, and a special program run by the Institute for Technical Formation, the INFOTEC, that provides financial and operational assistance for the implementation of training projects. In addition to the economic and fiscal incentives granted by the law, as previously said, the country has political stability and one of the strongest economic and investment climates in the region. Preferential access to markets through free trade agreements, especially the one we signed with the United States and the European Community. Our geographical location, quality of transportation, infrastructure, and maritime air and maritime connectivity are perhaps most importantly, and perhaps most importantly at this time, the availability of human resources has made us one of the most attractive countries for the manufacture of goods and services in the Latin region. Some of the advantages that our industrial park offers are beyond the incentives. There is an expedite process for the approval and installation of new companies, which can be established as a subsidiary, as a Dominican company, or as an offshore company. And in that sense, the council promotes and regulates the sector functions as a one-stop shop for the assistance to companies and parks that operate or wish to operate under the free zone regime in the Dominican Republic. The industrial parks, which can be private, public, or mixed administration, offer their tenants services and solutions that facilitate the operations of the companies. Some of the services include the design, construction, and adaptation of industrial buildings, maintenance and security, assistance with pre-selection and recruitment of personnel, labor relations, logistics services, among others. Exports of manufactured goods in our free zone represented more than 60% of the total goods exported by the country in 2023, with some $1,500 million in services, generated almost 200,000 direct jobs. Today, more than 820 companies operate in 87 industrial parks located in 28 of the 32 provinces in the country. In 2023, the free zone sector exported 1,744 product lines to a total of 129 countries. On the screen, we can see some of the brands that are being today manufactured in the Dominican Republic. Also, the free zones have given us export leadership in different product categories. Currently, the country stands as the world leader. It is the first exporter of cigars to the world, and between the Latin American countries, the second exporter of candles and the third exporter of medical devices, among others. Here we can see we have 17 companies, Japanese companies operating in the countries. Out of those, 2 are in the free zone sector, and soon we will have a third company operating under this free zone regime. Those 2 companies are dedicated to the production of medical devices and apparel. They exported 1% of the total effort of the country came from those 2 companies, and that generated almost 3,000 direct jobs with an accumulated investment of $30 million. With the objective of maximizing the bilateral trade, the Council has identified 10 lines of products that are being demanded by Japan and are being manufactured by companies in the Dominican Republic. And here in the screen, you can see those products. this presentation will be shared and will be available for any further clarification. So some of those products includes instruments and devices for medicine, jewelry, cigars, t-shirts, ostomy products, and other electrical products. Also, the Dominican Republic can be a platform for international expansion of Japanese companies, including those companies that are interested in the US market that can be accessed free of tariff thanks to the DR free trade agreement that we have with the United States. Main products that we have identified that are of interest for Japanese companies are here on the screen and include gearboxes for vehicles, boards, and electrical apparatus, some other electrical also components, jewelry, cottons, circuit breakers, among others products. For the last 5 years, medical devices have been the main manufacturing industry in the Dominican Republic, with exports surpassing the $2.5 billion in 2023. The sector has kept its growth pace in the last decade. 5 of the top 10 companies or 9 of the top 30 largest medical devices in the world have manufacturing operations in the country, including the Japanese Nisha Medical. Electrical products, electronics, and auto parts has also expanded during the last years. Among the main products manufactured are electrical switches, measuring instruments, circuits protection devices, parts and accessories for vehicles, connectors for aeronautical industry, alarm system, among others. Logistics is one of the sectors also with the greatest growth for a potential growth. And for free zones, in addition to being essential, it encompasses much more than the simple movement of goods. Today, logistic operators have become part of the production of many of our companies, assuming an important role within the supply chain, carrying out different tasks among it. Some of it include storage and distribution. For example, we have companies that have been operating manufacturing centers in the country for many years that have recently relocated logistic operations or installed the regional supply chain center in the Dominican Republic. We have also national operators who manage regional logistic operations for multinational companies that are located in the free zone region. All investors and companies that wish to establish themselves in Dominican Republic free zones have the institutional and technical support of the Free Zones Council. As I mentioned before, there is an expedited process for the approval and installation of new companies. And it could take from 2 days to 45 days to have a company approved and operated. Dominican Republic, as I mentioned before, have a strong investment climate with preferential market access, a strategic location, and competitive human capital, which make us into one of the most attractive countries for global manufacturing and logistics services in the Latin American region. Up to here, my presentation. I remain at your service for any question.
続きまして、ドミニカ共和国フリーゾーンの紹介。
We would like to invite Mr. Jose Manuel Torres, Executive Vice President of Arizona, to give us a presentation on operation in the Dominican Republic Free Zone from the perspective of a user company. Mr. Torres, please go ahead.
José Manuel, abre tu micrófono. José Manuel.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, sorry. Good morning, good night to everybody. Honorable Masahiro Takagi, Ambassador of Japan in the Dominican Republic. Honorable Robert Takata, Ambassador of the Dominican Republic in Japan. Representative of JETRO, METI, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Dominican Republic. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Again, my name is Jose Torres. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Dominican Free Zones Association. We are an NGO, and we basically represent the interests of the free zones of the Dominican Republic. And our main objective is to position the free zone as the country's main economic sector and significantly contribute to making the DR an ideal destination for investment and production of goods and services. Our membership is composed of free zone companies, associations, industrial parks, and free zone and individual free zone companies. As Mrs. Cochon said, we are very well known about our tourist as a tourist destination, but we might be considered the best kept secret in the world because we are developing as a very strong regional hub for manufacturing, logistics, and services. We definitely have an economic and political stability. We are the oldest democracy in the whole Western Hemisphere. Excellent connectivity with 9 international airports and 13 seaports, available source of talent, access to 1,000 million consumers under free trade agreements, and a very important fiscal regime, which is called the free zone, which provides you 100% exemption on the main on everything: corporate tax, value-added tax, import taxes, municipal taxes, and very important, these benefits are granted by the government for 15 years, and they are renewable. Okay, so for example, the free zone sector was born in 1969, so there are companies that have renewed their permit 2 times or 3 times. So they, it's a very solid business scheme. The free zones is basically a geographical area under a special customs and tax regime in which companies are licensed to produce goods and services intended for the foreign market. Our regulatory agency is the National Free Zone Council, which is represented here by Mrs. Cochon. Although it's a government body, its board of directors is composed by the private sector and the public sector. So I myself am a member of the National Free Zone Council as a member of the private sector. So it's a half-half. The board of directors is half private, half government, which allows the institution to be very business-oriented. So, processes are very expedited, and we are always try to, to identify the actions that we need to be more efficient and to grow as a country and as a sector. The free zones is responsible to moving the Dominican Republic from a basically primary product production platform based in agricultural products like cacao, coffee, sugar, to now manufacturing and service economy. Now the main export products of the Dominican Republic are the medical devices produced in the free zones, followed by the electronic and then some mining products. Last year we broke several historic records in exports. $8 billion in exports, 820 companies, 87 industrial parks, and that trend continues in this year. Now we are reaching the 200,000 direct jobs, and the export of the free zones grew between January and April of this year 8%, representing close to 68% of the total exports of the Dominican Republic. And again, we're talking only about goods. When you add services, this value of $8 billion, it would grow to close to $10 billion. When you add the services provided by the BPOs and the logistics centers, which are growing, we have been growing very, very fast within the last year. These are the main export products, again, led by the medical devices, followed by electrical and electronic, cigars manufacturing, textile, jewelry, plastic, footwear, and others. This is very important, how the sector has been diversifying from being mainly a textile clothing sector in 2010, when 53% of all exports were textile and clothing. And now, again, the main export products are medical devices, cigars. So it's a very diversified sector, which is very good. We are very proud of having Japanese present. Nisha, we have been for many years in the Dominican Republic, and now very proud to have Yasaki in our country, in Santiago, which is in the north part. Nisha is in the east part, and we are right now in Santo Domingo, which is in the capital, in the south portion of the island, because it's a very diversified sector, not only in the production but also in the location all around the country. We are see how the company has been including more sophisticated processes. So from having 84% of workers, now we are down to 65% of the total workers of the sector, and 35% are technical and professional, which with a very increased demand in this area, technical and professional. So we have a very proactive agenda with a training institution and with the university. The free zone are present in 29 of the 32 provinces. Basically, they are all around the country, except in the border where there's another law. For example, in the province that operates Yasaki, which is Santiago, you can see it right in the center of the map. 25% of the total private sector employment in Santiago come from the free zone. So 1 from every 4 employees by the private companies come from the free zone. And San Pedro de Macorís, right down to your right, where, for example, Nisha is 22%, and in other provinces like San Cristobal in the south is up to 40% of the total employment by the private sector is from the free zone. So that's why the importance of the free zone from the economic and social perspective of the country. We are now involved in trying to create the best environment for the development of the semiconductors due to the CHIPS Act 2023 approved in the U.S. Congress. So we are working in the development of human capitals with a special program with, for example, Purdue universities, and attracting new investment to be part of these semiconductors value chain in this hemisphere. So we are pushing very strong. We of course headed by the government initiative, and our big task in the logistics is to be the logistic hub of the Americas. This is the port of Caucedo, for example. In the top is the actual picture, and below you see what they are developing now. They have a 3 million square meter development where they are building infrastructure for both manufacturing and logistics. And of course, this a very strong development, having a port facility and also an airport facility right in the top. You can see part of the airstrip, and also this DP World facility, this port, and also a new development is the Punta Cana Free Trade Zone, where they are pioneering a business model combining both the industrial park infrastructure with transportation and air cargo. So you have here very advanced manufacturing operation, but also maintenance, repair operation for airplanes and a logistics center. So finally, in Arizona, we have clusters to provide support for some of the most important subsector, including medical devices. We have a cluster since 2015 with most of the medical device companies. Also, the call center BPO cluster, the logistic cluster, the textile cluster, and the electronic and electric cluster, where the main companies of those production sectors meet together and define what are the actions that they need in human capital, in local linkages, and in other areas, so they can be stronger and grow even fast. So finally, in the Dominican Republic, we have there's an excellent opportunity. We have an example there's no country with better potential than us in the Western Hemisphere, with such a stability in both political and economic, with very high value added investment coming to our country. Very important is the synergy between the public and the private sector, which make us very strong, and with very important near-shore opportunities for all the investment. So we call to Japanese investors to come to our country and be part of the success that the free zone has been in our country for over half a century. So thank you very much. My presentation is also available for anybody that is interested in it, and we also we're able to respond any question you have. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Mr. Torres, thank you very much. Next, Mr. Itaru Motobayashi, Vice President, Chief of Staff, Yazaki North America, will give a presentation entitled Case Study of a Japanese Company Operating in the Dominican Republic. Over to you, Mr. Motobayashi. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. Can you see my screen? Yes, we can. Hello, I am Motobayashi from Yazaki, North America. I would like to talk about our approach and our experience in the Dominican Republic market. First, let me talk about our company first. Next page, please. It was founded in 1941. It is a private company. In 2023, as of June, the number of employees is 241,484, and we are present in 46 countries and regions. And you can see the breakdown here on this slide. Yazaki North America is part of the Americas in green, 6 countries, and the number of employees is 91,000. Our corporate policy is a corporation in step with the world, a corporation needed by society. For over 80 years, based on our corporate policy, we have offered products and services connecting cars, lives, and societies. We will continue to operate based on our corporate policy to offer products and services that connect people, that connect communities in the world to achieve a sustainable society. Yazaki's business departments include automotive, living environment, and society business. In terms of our automotive business, our mainstream products are wire harness and wire cables, and also meters for cars, and taximeter, digital tachograph for measuring, and also for EVs and plug-in hybrid, we also offer charging connectors as well. For living environment, we offer electric wires, gas equipment, HVAC equipment, solar heat utilization equipment. For our society's business, we try to help solve problems in the communities or help with the protecting the environment. So it involves nursing, agriculture, and recycling businesses. In terms of Yazaki Group's sales, total is 2,200 billion yen. In terms of Yazaki North America, it's around 32% of the total, which is around a third of the total. Let's look at Yazaki North America. This is a map of the United States. We have our offices in Detroit, Michigan, and we also have distribution centers closer to our customers. The yellow areas are new business, Yazaki Innovation Inc. plus YTCA, which is our Research and Development Center, Yazaki Research and Technology Center, America. Let's look at our activities in Central America. We have manufacturing plants and SCM centers. We offer our products to Japanese and international car companies. We have 49 wire harness plants. We have 6 in Nicaragua, and 1 in El Salvador, and 1 in Guatemala, and we decided to enter into the Dominican Republic market. In 2023, we made that decision back in October, and we are going to hire 1,100 people, and we are going to start operation in November 2026. We will offer our products to car companies located in North America. Let me explain about the reason why we decided to enter into the Dominican Republic. There are 2 major reasons. First, we produced products in ASEAN countries. We want to shift from ASEAN partially so that we can be closer to our customers. And this will help us shorten our lead time and improve the transportation cost. Also, we concentrate our production in Mexico and Nicaragua. We want to try and expand our production in Central America in order to minimize the risk by concentrating in just 2 countries, as well as to contain wage increase. The reason why we picked the Dominican Republic is because of all the reasons we have already seen so far: safe and steady business environment, good relationship with the United States, short lead time with the United States, geological advantages, and it's a member of CAFTA-DR as well. In Central America countries, we try to deal with many business risks, and we want to ensure our sustainable supply chain. We want to also create good employment, and we think we can solve social issues through employing local people. And we also want to try and contribute to the growth of the local economy. Based on our corporate philosophy, we want to achieve sustainable management. We want to work hand in hand with the local countries and local people. By setting up a plant, we will be able to foster a good relationship with the local people we want to try and think about what we can contribute to the local economy in addition to setting up a plant. Last February, we opened a plant in Guatemala. The President, Minister of Economy, Minister of Labor, Vice President, Assistant from the US, and also former ambassador from Japan to the Dominican Republic, Mr. Yamamoto was there as well. This is a picture that we took when we visited the country in February of this year. Ambassador Takagi was there as well, and we visited the President and the Minister of Economy to talk about our plan for opening our plant in the Dominican Republic. And we also exchanged views that are common between the two countries. We will continue to visit Central American countries and the Dominican Republic for the smooth operation of the plant, and we will continue to make new proposals. The members who are here today, if you are interested in opening your plant in the country, we hope that we can talk with you and share our experience with you as well. Please contact us. Feel free to contact us at any time. That's it for my presentation from our company. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Motobayashi. From here on, we would like to ask the lecturers to answer the questions received from the viewers. As have been informed beforehand, we would only take questions that are related to today's lecture. And due to time constraint, we may not be able to take all your questions. We'd like to have your understanding. Thank you. So first, this is a question to Mr. Miyamoto from JETRO. So please let us know about the initiatives and movements on decarbonization in the Dominican Republic. Thank you for the question. Let me briefly answer this question. So, regarding the reduction target in Dominican Republic, so the target was 25%. Recently, it has gone up to 27%. So until 2030, they are committed to reducing GHG by 2030 by 27%. So I am looking at the entire Latin American countries and Central Americas. Many countries are relying on hydro power, but in Dominican Republic, renewable energy usage rate is 18%. They are still relying on carbon-related power generation. So I think there is large potential for this country to promote decarbonization. So I think there could be many areas where businesses could be viable. That is my view. Regarding this current renewable energy usage rate, biomass is still low, but for wind power, solar power, it is increasing in recent years. So I think the Japanese companies can possibly provide assistance in these efforts. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Miyamoto.
Next, we have a question for Ms. Ko-chan. Could you give us a summary of main imports and exports by destination and by product? We are a plant equipment importer. And we are interested to know which countries you import industrial equipment from. So, Ms. Kachan,
Yes.
National, please.
So industrial equipment can be imported from any countries. We receive machineries and equipment from Asia, the United States, and Europe, especially from Italy and Germany. So there is no restriction on the import of machinery and equipment. And if you operate under free zones, those machineries and equipment enter into the country free of taxes. Are you interested only in the import of the machinery or the destination of the products from the Dominican Republic?
I believe that the person wanted to ask most about the industrial equipment, but if you can share anything else for other products, it would be great if you could share.
Sure. For the exports, most of the final products are destined either to the U.S. market or to Europe, but especially to the U.S. market. But in terms of import, as I said before, machinery, equipment, raw materials can come from different parts of the world, including Japan in this case.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kochon, for your answer. Going next. This is a question to Yazaki North America, Mr. Motobayashi.
Are there any rules or regulations that we're not made aware of yet that could potentially impact our project in Dominican Republic? Hello, I'm Motobayashi. Thank you very much for the question. In our understanding, in terms of rules or regulations, I don't think there are any concerns. As I said already, we decided to enter into the market in October, and we're going to apply for approval, and we haven't obtained approval yet. There could be some issues or challenges in the future, and we would like to address one by one and set up our plant in the country. That's our plan.
Thank you very much, Motobayashi-san, for your answer. Going next, this is a question to Mr. Miyamoto from JETRO. So just recently, the presidential election took place, and President Abinader had been re-elected. So we would like to know how this re-election may impact the political and economic situation in the mid to long term in your country. In particular, this question comes from a person who is engaged in the automobile industry, exporting passenger cars and trucks. So this person is seeking your advice from that perspective as well. Mr. Miyamoto, please. Sorry, inaudible. I think Mr. Miyamoto is on mute. Sorry, let me start from the beginning. As I have said, President Abinader has been re-elected. So basically, the current policies will be observed. So tourism infrastructure, these parts will be continuously promoted to activate the economy further. In particular, in terms of automotive industry. It was shown in the trade statistics. By promoting the tourism, the automotive demand is growing further. That is what I have heard. In that sense, the automobile industry is likely to move on to a good direction. On the other hand, looking at the fuel side, it is dependent on import. So, the hike in fuel price that we are seeing recently, we have to look carefully how the economic measures are be taken to address this fuel price hike. Thank you very much, Mr. Miyamoto.
Next, a question for Yazaki, North America, to Motobayashi-san. In terms of the population is increasing. There are a lot of young people. That's the image that I have. What's the level of education and training? Could you please share us what you think about the level of education and skills of the local people? Can you hear me? Yes, we can. Yes, I believe Jetro knows more than me, but in terms of the demographics, the Dominican Republic's demographics is that there are young people, and we want to hire young people. In terms of the education level, in general, I believe it's pretty good. And so we are not at all worried about the level of human resources in the country. In terms of training, we have education training manual for employees. And so we do have know-how already. So we want to provide training by ourselves. Motobayashi-san, thank you very much.
If in the free trade zones, in terms of providing training to these human resources, is there any initiative taken at the Dominican Republic? Can we ask either Ms. Cochon, Ms. Sylvia, or Mr. Torres to answer this question?
Could you repeat the question, please?
So, ご質問についてはですね、若い人口が多いですけども、実際の一般就業者の教育水準や
And looking at the education standard and for the labor skill, we would like to know what kind of education skill and labor skill these young people have in your country.
Yeah, as the representative of Yazaki told you, we have a young population willing to work. I'm very efficient workers. The Dominicans like their job, and usually we have many multinationals, and all those multinationals express their comfortability with the Dominican workers because they give high levels of efficiency to their operations, and we work very closely with the training facilities that we have, and also with the universities, and working for STEAM levels and engineering. We are working very hard with the engineering departments of the different universities because we understand the STEM because we understand that the human capitals, the companies that are coming to our countries also need. So we have very attractive salaries, yes, but we also need more skilled workers, and we're working very hard with that. In my presentation, I explained that we have different agreements with U.S. universities like Purdue, And we have a very active scholarships with the Ministry of Higher Education that send Dominican students abroad to get, the necessary high skills. But yes, definitely human capital is one of the sectors that we work the most within the clusters that operate in Arizona for the main production sectors.
Thank you very much, Mr. Torres. So let's move on to the next question. This one is for the Embassy of the Dominican Republic, which is related to safety in the country. Do you have any measures to improve the security in the country?
Hello, good morning, everyone. Good evening to our colleagues in the Dominican Republic, and thank you for being here, you all, today. Regarding your question, the Dominican Republic is a very safe country in general terms, although we are conducting a safety plan led by the Dominican President, Mr. Luis Abinader. So since 2020, we've been carrying out so many activities in order to provide even more safety feelings and security to all the investors and also to the Dominican population. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guzman. I believe it is time to close the Q&A session. Thank you very much for all the lecturers for sharing your experience and expertise. Lastly, we would like to have a closing remarks from Mr. Satoshi Miura, Director of the Central and South America Office, Trade Policy Bureau from METI. Mr. Miura, the microphone is yours. Thank you very much for joining us so early in the morning and so late in the evening for those joining from the Dominican Republic. I believe we have a lot of viewers, 160? No? 140? So I strongly feel that this seminar is of a very high interest to all of you. So in the beginning, Ambassador Takagi and Ambassador Takata, and also Mr. Miyamoto from JETRO, and all the people from the government agency bodies from the Dominican Republic, and from the Yazaki, Mr. Motobayashi from Yazaki, and what I felt for today is the common value such as free economy and democracy, these are being shared between the two countries. And looking at the recent election, the new government will come into power this summer. So we can expect a very stable government operation, and we feel very strong potential to maintain this strong economic growth. And geopolitically, looking at US, Europe, and Latin America, geographically and geopolitically, Dominican Republic is in a very advantageous position. And also, today's lecture was mainly about the free zone in the Dominicans. So from the logistics perspective and operation perspective, and also from a tax perspective, there are many incentives. So it already has a 50-year history of good operation. And also, human resource cultivation is being much of a focus, and that is also making this free zone more attractive. Already, 17 Japanese companies are operating in your country, but various foreign medical device manufacturers are also operating in free zones. So I can easily understand that this potential of the free zone is more and more enhancing. Listening to Yazaki-san's story, so the potential of the Dominican Republic and on the other Latin America, I think it is very convincing why companies have chosen to operate in Dominican Republic. So we are able to look into various insights by combining various experiences and expertise. And Mr. Ogawa, the head of the office of the plant office, has visited Dominican Republic twice, and he has studied a lot about the Dominican Republic. And also Mr. Miyamoto from Sao Paulo has visited the place twice. And regarding the possibility and potential of the Dominican Republic, they are making a lot of researches and making a lot of proposals. So now the MOU has been concluded by METI and the Dominican Republic. So utilizing this framework, we would like to promote industrial partnership in a bilateral manner. And to support this, from METI side, we want to collaborate with the Global South countries, and we have allocated the budget for this. So we would like to explore new businesses with your country. And we hope that the Dominican Republic will make good use of what we can provide to you. So joining this seminar, I strongly felt the strong possibility that we can move on to the next step to further strengthen our collaboration. Thank you very much for inviting me for this occasion. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mira. So now we'd like to conclude today's webinar on the business environment and potential of free zones in the Dominican Republic. So may we ask you to fill in a simple questionnaire with only 4 questions that appears when you leave the meeting room. The questionnaire is accessible from the QR code that you are seeing, or that from the screen that comes up after closing the webinar window. And once you fill out the questionnaire, a URL will be sent, enabling the downloading of today's lecture materials. Once again, thank you very much for taking your time to join us. Thank you.